Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. My name is Knight.
My name is Logan.
And he lost his balls, my ex is pregnant, and you're on the UNN. Your trustworthy source of everything UOH. We got a lot of things to talk about today. A lot of things happened. Once again, while I was out of town, because that's just how it works here in the UOH. But first things first, the ODSTs merged. 9th and 10th, gone. In rose the 105th. Logan, as a 10th member, how do you feel about the 105th merge?
You know, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad. I'm glad to be working with all these new members from Ninth now, and it's been quite a bit of fun. I'd say it started off a little rocky, but as you know, any merger does. So far though, I've been quite enjoying it.
Awesome. I myself have quite enjoyed it a lot. I'm really happy working with all of my 10th friends, like, Midget and Hero.
Bro, what the fuck about me?
Let's get into an interview with Bookable and a couple of other people's opinions on the merge.
I said, what about me?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, the ODST Hero. Today we are in a live fire combat zone interviewing our new Lord Commandant of the ODSTs, Bookable Puppy. So I can only assume you've been ecstatic with your new promotion that you have currently received.
So it technically isn't a promotion, it's just a title I gave myself for the fuck of it, because I got a bunch of friends getting into Warhammer, so it's a fun little thing to joke about. But it definitely has had its pros and cons so far. We're still getting into it and everything like that, but I definitely love it so far.
So how's the experience of this new position, shift your tone towards the server, at least helping the infrastructure-wise?
So yeah, so it is definitely a switch. Especially because, as we all know, most battalions can only have 12 people. This is a major cap increase, with a bunch of different, goals that Higher Comm has set for me and that I have set for myself, too. So it is definitely a lot of stuff to bring in, but I'm hoping that I can make the most out of it and give more to the people, ODST-wise.
That's awesome to hear. But speaking of cabs, I know the ODST cab was raised because we had recently had a merge with 9th and 10th. I think they're killing our intern.
So,
I think we're being escorted. Continue answering the question as we move. We'll just move slowly.
Yes.
Okay, so how has this new position, or I guess the new merge, been treating the ODSTs, and how have you gone about handling it?
So, like I said, it does have its pros and cons. One major pro is we do have a cap increase now because it is both factions put together. So I am allowed 25 people now, which is nice. Currently at 15 people. Hit me up if you're interested at Bookable Puppy 04 105th. But with all that, it does allow new fire teams, and the nice part about it is everything can be done all at once, It's not just like, oh, 9th only got the Hellbringers and Railguns, and 10th got the Bullfrogs. It's now all of us get one thing as ODSTs,
That's awesome to hear, especially since a lot of people have been wishing to see the return of such MOSs and, titles. I've been especially looking a little bit forward towards the Bullfrogs. I like the jump pack ideas and aesthetics of the ODSTs that we used to have as 10th, now all developed just into one big 105th unit. But that also raises the question with the 9th specialty, how are you guys going to go about training stealth and infiltration since there's no longer just one battalion focusing on that entirely?
So, as we all know, 10th and 9th are just from the entire 105th Battalion, both lore-wise and how ODSTs were introduced to the server originally. So with the way I'm most likely going to end up doing it, is everybody is special for their own things. Some people are good with snipers, some people are good with SMGs. I find it better to just have a fire team specialize in that instead of a whole faction, because then I can still bring in people, let's say person from the crowd. Let's say Red Bull was really into stealth, I would have a fire team for stealth if enough people were into it, So I don't have to push people away if they don't like that.
So that I guess with that leading into my next question regarding the 105th, how is it now that you have the faction lines organized with such a big merge?
So I found the best way to do faction lines, especially in our new map,
Yeah,
and we
you
don't have,
sure?
especially with people in the new map like falling off the edge and everything, and we don't have to yell at them to just line up via fire team. So I have a fire team order and everything on how it goes. You know, fire team Hollow, Clover, Candence, and Relay are 2 new training fire teams. Those do have spots open as of currently. It's just easier to line up that way. Sure, it extends it a bit, but it's easier than having one giant line and having to scream to people in the back.
Hello, everybody. My name is Knight, and welcome to the studio. Today, we're going to be interviewing one of our newer 105th ODSTs, Banana. Say hi, Banana.
Hey, I'm Banana.
All right, Banana. So, I got a couple questions for you today. Number one, since you're a newer recruit to, the ODSTs, obviously you were in 9th first, and now since the merge, we're in 105th. How do you feel about ODSTs? How are you enjoying your time here?
I feel like the ODSTs are really like kicking back up. I feel like obviously there's been a point in time where it's like kind of slowed down to getting back up. Obviously, from being in 9th, I can say that obviously I did not expect what we have now in 105th, with it being more like battle hardened, if that makes sense. Like it's more like not, I wouldn't say try hard. I would say it's more like fun in a sense, like it gives something to work for.
All right. Well, as an ex-9th member now in 105th, how do you feel about the merge between 9th and 10th becoming 105th? Do you feel like it was a good change? Are you against it? How do you feel about the change?
I feel like it was a really good change because obviously it gets 9th and 10th members together to like actually experience the same thing, and also we can bring our skills together, which would make a very good branch for UOH, I feel like. So I feel like it was a very good merge.
Say hi, Taka.
Hello.
All right, so Taco, I got a couple questions for you today. Starting off with, from an outsider's perspective, obviously you're a Marine. How do you feel about the ODST merge? 9th and 10th becoming the 105th.
Well, 105th is one of the lore factions that I believe is attached to the Spirit of Fire, or maybe some, I can't remember the exact one. So, from a lore perspective, I love it. I feel like by merging the two, it kind of gets rid of a little bit of that individuality that 9th and 10th had. 9th and 10th were 2 very distinct factions. Combining them now into just one big ODST group really feels like kind of taking that away. Of course, there were different ways that each was run, and that was kind of the allure and the pull of those different factions. If you wanted to be a little bit more strict with how you wanted to run, how you wanted to have your experience, you would go to 10th. If you wanted something a little bit more laid back, if you're here just for the fun or the friends or whatever, you could go join 9th and you wouldn't have to deal with a lot of the stress of um, upper management and stuff like that. By taking that away, now there's one play style, there's one ODST faction, especially now that 105th is going to 10th standards. If you're joining the ODSTs, the only option that you really have is to join a stricter sense, especially since, I guess it's just all one.
So, Deskar, my first question for you today. Obviously, the big change. How do you feel about the 9th and 10th merging into the 105th ODST company?
I think it's great, in my opinion. No offense tonight, no shade being thrown anywhere. I feel personally it was lacking a little bit in its command, a little bit. I think the merger is great. It'll help people improve their skills. It'll form cohesion between the ODSTs because in the past there has definitely been some rivalry between the ODST factions, and now they're one big faction, which hopefully cut down that rivalry a good amount.
Can't say yet.
Like in my fire team, we have Banana over there. He's doing great. I've seen him improve so much recently. Hi, Banana. Hi, Banana. I feel like everyone who from 9th, who in 10th is doing pretty good. They're improving, including you, Banana, Louie, Maid, all of them. Doing great. I think it was needed. And I think it is a very good change.
All right, Red Ball. So, I got a couple questions for you today. First one being from your, outsider Marine perspective. How do you feel about the ODST merge? 9th and 10th becoming the 105th.
I mean, with the numbers being what they have been recently, it does make a lot of sense to start. I mean, as much as everyone hates to see factions go, in a sense of that, makes a little more sense to have, one faction with the right amount of numbers per se, rather than, one faction's got numbers, the other faction's got 3 people, And yeah, overall, I think it was a good move. Definitely helps out with team balancing and all that, and especially when they want to try and get their fire team structure, it gives them a little more numbers to kind of play with, mix and match, and actually build proper fire teams.
Another thing that happened recently is that we've had a bit of a DI system change. We no longer have just one person kind of going over everything. We have a bit of a Logan, take over. Logan.
We have a new DI system, gentlemen. Sorry, something's happening back there. We have a new DI system, though, coming in with some new stuff. And on top of that, we also have a little bit of MOS changes. We're having some rocket changes, and we're finally adding the bullfrogs into the UOH, a jetpack-oriented group for ODST/105th. And then the rockets are becoming, rockets and explosives, more or less, are becoming volumetric now, which means they will be taking up spaces instead of being static to one position. Oh, it's pretty cool. We'll get into an interview about the new DI stuff with Bookable and an interview with Gallium about the new weapon stuff here right now.
A lot of the stuff that we realized when we were going over the DI doc and trying to redo it is it was too messy and it was too much info at once. So a lot of the ODSTs are veterans. So it's much easier to get an MOS system across to them. They've been here forever. It's much easier to push them to this new idea and inform them on all the new MOSs and everything like that. Especially because a major thing of joining ODSTs was getting those MOSs, much like Hellbringers and Bullfrogs. So we're trying to take this mentality, and we're trying to make it easier for new recruits to join in. So that's actually how we have the system right now, is it eases them into it a lot more. So it's not just, hey, you joined, here's the server rules. Now here's weapons. Now here's factions. It's more organized. It gets them knowing, what do you expect from this server? What you should expect and what we do. So a server overview. And the second part, which I lead and I deal with, all the firearms, combat, everything like that, it's a more in-depth explanation. Now, it's not faction lines and everything like that, but it's more here's the weapons. Here's what to expect from combat. Here's the rules for combat. It's much more organized, and it's easier to follow and understand, both from people newly joining in, people coming back after leaving for a bit, and even people who have been here for a while.
Well, that's amazing. Now, I must know, what are the different kind of groups that lead these trainings, with them being split now?
So, I'm going to be honest. So, with the current new the DI stuff we have 3 different kinds of DIs. Now, obviously, we have our main DI, being the bitch, also known as RAV. I don't remember the acronym for that one. I don't remember everything for that. So I can't say much on that. Now, there's the one I personally lead, known as the Firearm Arrangement Group, or the Firearm Advertisement Group, whichever one you prefer, or a FAG instructor, as you will. That's the one I do, because I try to pride myself on being the quartermaster of the server. Just having
so
people...
you could almost say you're the leader of the fags.
Yes. you could say something like that. Yes. It's
That's wonderful to hear.
I've always liked knowing about all the weapons and the different combat rules and everything. Now, our secondary one, which you do in fact lead, is...
let me just stop real quick. So you could say you're very prideful in your position during that part of the training.
Yes. Yeah. Now we have our secondary one, which goes over the server overview, the newbie introduction core, which is the one you lead, actually. I'll give you the honor of saying
I'm very proud of it. Yeah, so, Nick is very, black and white when it comes to, getting into all the etiquette stuff, making sure people know what they're doing, and they're not acting like a certain group of people.
If I may,
we'll call them Neanderthals for now.
Yeah. If I may, you guys are black and white. We're the more colorful portion. A rainbow, one
Oh,
could say.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I really pride ourselves, or let me not take your word. We really hammer in, like wardens, what they need to know.
You don't try to get
You know,
hanged up
we
on
make
things.
sure,
Yeah.
we come in looking all nice and white, and they come out black and ready to go, like special forces.
Yeah.
So when by the time
yeah.
they get to their firearms, they know how to treat their weapon and the kind of established tone we have for our server. So they know how to act, they know how to carry themselves. So by the time they're issued a firearm, they're not shooting it in random ways,
Or
kind of like
shooting at
this.
their own team.
Exactly, over petty squabbles and smaller things. That's why us NIGs have to stick together to end this sort of mindset around our blackened soldiers.
Yeah. So that's everything for all the DI stuff. I can't say much on it because it's a slow process. Because we're trying to consistently update the doc to make it the easiest way possible, both for new DIs to learn and for, new recruits so they can join and actually know what's going on. So far, it has seemed to work a lot more smoothly from both sides, both teaching and everything like that. So
Hello, everybody. I'm Knight, and today I'm here joined by Gallium on Exile. This shit looks fucking nice, at least on PC. So, Gallium, I got a couple questions for you today. One of them being bullfrogs. They were just recently tested, soon to be added, I'm pretty sure. How do you feel about, their debut? Do you feel like they're working up to standard?
Generally, yeah. I also feel that I've realized I've got this problem where they've worked so well and they've been received so well that I'm now, with other things that I'm thinking, shit, how do I match this? I've got to, I've set myself a standard and now I've got to meet it for other things. But no, I'm happy with how they worked out.
Awesome, and I've heard
Very
that
much
a lot
so.
of people are as well. We used them in the training here tonight, and honestly, it was cool seeing the bullfrogs jumping and flying about. So my next question to you that was mentioned to me by my good co-host Logan, he mentioned that there was new rocket launchers or explosives or something. You mind telling us a bit about that?
Yeah, so 1 second, I'm going to violently belch.
You're good. Take your time.
No, it's not. Oh, it's not coming. You can cut this out if you want to, or you can just leave it in.
You're good.
So a while back, I'd started just a bit of R&D on a really good volumetric explosion system. There we go. Explosion system, but ran into a bunch of technical issues, which I'm not going to go into. So I kind of shelved it for a bit, but then Engulfed really wanted to put a bunch of explosive weaponry out. So he asked me to revisit it and basically do it in the way that I would consider nasty and inefficient, but works. And so far, it's working okay. It's just needing like fine tuning and finishing up, and then that'll be going in. So it will be partially. Well, no, it won't be It won't be the volumetric system that I was trying to put in, which was a really fancy, fun thing, but just didn't work out.
So, next question. When do you feel like we should expect to see those?
The explosives, ideally quite soon, because as soon as I've got them to a state where I can consider them, 100% battle tested, at least, then I can start, putting out the prefab update for the weapons to the other developers and for my maps, just spread it across all of them.
Awesome. So that's nice to hear. I think that's all I have, to ask you today. Is there anything else you want to tell the camera?
I suppose I'll just mention just the things that I'm actively working on. I'm actively working on finishing up and completing the holstering system, which will include some preset positions for holstering so that you can essentially, when a gun that you have holstered to that, when you drop it, it will just automatically go straight to that one that you've set it to. So you can, mid-combat, quickly pull it out, fire, and then let go, and it will just go back there. Also for extending this to sort of some other weapons. So there will be one position on your back that will be ideal for people with snipers or rocket launchers or whatever. It will also have desktop support, mostly for Logan, because he's been complaining about that periodically. As a result of that, this will also include will be putting a bit into the bullfrogs, mainly for the actual, because it's purely cosmetic, but there will be a jetpack model. So there will be one of those that when you activate the bullfrog system, you can choose how to position that on you, so you don't need to go through all the pain and suffering of getting it included on avatars. It will just be part of the world and just get strapped onto you.
Awesome.
And
I can't wait to see
generally about
those.
it.
Great.
That's the plan.
Well, thank you for your time, Gallium.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll see you back in the studio.
Okay, guys, we have some more interviews after that. A bit amount of interviews. This one's going to be a little bit of a clusterfuck. It's about the opinions on the server so far.
How do you feel about the state of the server itself? Do you feel like we're good? You feel like we could do a little bit better? And if so, what are some things you think that we as a server can improve upon?
Okay, so I do feel like we are kind of struggling right now with activity, obviously, in the sense there was it's obviously been storming out, so that could be one of the reasons, but also it's been more the fact of rivalry between, from what I've seen at least, between factions. And obviously that is a problem, and it's going to destroy the server from inside, just from my perspective. But what's it called? I do feel like we can improve on working together rather than against each other.
We're definitely in a downhill spiral right now, in my opinion. To kind of rebound off of what Banana said, there's never been more division specifically between ODSTs and Marines. Last night's event was one good example of how even when things are stacked against us and you had all Marines on one side and pretty much all ODSTs on the other, they still found some way to complain. And this is a generalized kind of deal, not specifically pointed towards anyone, but it's something that has been actually weighing on us. There's a lot that really doesn't really get called out. And, that's something that we got to work on, calling each other out on things.
Well, server-wise, do you feel like we're doing okay? Do you feel like, we could be doing better? And if so, how do you feel like we could improve as a server?
So I think there are some things we definitely need to improve on. One of these things, main thing, is recruiting. Now, we have been kind of going, like Taco said in his interview, on a slow decline. We are having less and less people active in the factions as there used to be. At least in the Marine factions. The ODST factions, since the merger, have been pretty active, but on the Marine side, it's been pretty much a drought. We all need to do our part and help recruit, which is what these recruitment events are for. But if we start recruiting, picking up more members, then I think we're definitely gonna be going up. We have great devs, been making maps, making us new content. And I think if we pick up our recruitment, then things would stop declining as much as they have been.
Oh boy. Well, I'm probably gonna make a lot of friends with what I say, but honestly, I don't think this is a controversial opinion. We're not doing too hot. Just numbers alone, as well as I've personally noticed there seems to be a growing schism and a lot of points of contention growing between the ODSTs and the rest of the Marine factions. It's not any particular person's fault. A lot of the complaints that I'm hearing are coming from both sides, and also some of them are indeed justified, but I just might have an issue with how they're being brought up, such as certain things I don't feel like are worth interrupting an entire event for. Other things should probably happen behind closed doors. It also just kind of ruins the mood for events. If an event ends on a sour note, kind of puts a bad taste in everyone's mouth. Everyone ends on a bad note, and that's what they leave, and that's what they come back on, as well as we're trying to have new people in here, and I know like if I join a group and I'm joining the group to try and have fun, and then I get there and it doesn't really seem like most of these people are having fun. In fact, most of them are bickering and fighting with each other. I'm probably not going to stick around.
All right. So what's something you think we can improve upon in the server then?
I mean, overall, just attitude adjustment for everybody, which is, I know it's a very vague answer and sort of a, like, be nicer to each other kind of deal. But aside from that, personally, I'd like to see a lot more, and I hesitate to use the term PvE style events, but like raids. More unified, cohesive, just everyone working together for the most part toward a common goal. I feel like would help with a lot of the butting heads between factions just as a whole.
Up next, we have a couple of people's opinions on the upcoming resurrection of the Spartan program. Obviously, this is a much further thing in the future. We don't have the members to open them up back right now. But Logan, how do you feel about the opening up again of the Spartan 3s, I think?
It's something. My personal opinion is that Spartans have always kind of been a weak point of the server. I get that they have been very cool for the people that get to participate as them, but I just feel like they've never brought anything worthwhile for the server as a whole, besides for the people that are a part of it. And I feel like that they're not something we should be focusing on right now, and we should be more in tune with the ODST and Marine factions until we can get those healed and set up.
All right, so we're gonna get in a bit. Logan.
Yeah, sorry, guys. He has a cough, so it's a little difficult sometimes. We're gonna get into some interviews here now on that. Right now.
We got an announcement from Rav that later on in the future, once we get all our numbers sorted, Spartans are gonna open up. First things first, how do you feel about that? The Spartans.
Yo, I've been waiting the whole time since I got in the server because I heard about their Spartans, right? And I know that there's so many damn people that in this server obviously want to be Spartans. I think that it would be a good adjustment to the server if we can get numbers back up. Obviously, both sides have to do their parts, in which I believe needs to be done first. And obviously it does, right? And for me, I'm excited for that. I feel like that's going to be something new to work towards, a new achievement, a new goal.
Now, a prerequisite to opening up the Spartan 3 program is that we need to have a 4th Marine Battalion open. Now, we have 3, all of which are either in the yellow or the red, so we're kind of, got to work on that first. But, Logan, what...
I don't know who in...
We don't have Blackwing. We're not going to... We just don't... What Marine Battalion
not important.
would you like to see open up in the future? Like 21st or maybe something new?
I think a new faction would be cool. Reopening the old ones, especially for people that have already been here, just isn't something that great. So I think something new, fresh would be really nice. But that's about all. I think we have some interviews to actually get to on that. So let's go to those. Yeah.
I just remembered earlier today. It was announced that the Spartan program, is set to open up as long as we get, a good amount of numbers. Now, one of those requirements was a 4th Marine Battalion. Obviously, after 79th, 17th, and S4 are good with their numbers. But what's a Marine Battalion or an idea for a Marine Battalion that you would like to see come up in the future? We've had 21st Anti-Terrorism. We've had, 77th, the Snow Guys. We've had 12th Battalion, which I believe was of a Marine Corps at one, or not a Marine Corps, a Medic Corps at one point. What's something that you would be interested in seeing, later down the line?
Definitely think a medical corps would definitely be an interesting idea for a faction if we could bring that back, especially help with localizing MOSs to that and kind of get more medics on the field in general. We're kind of lacking in that department in general. Aside from that, maybe like a mechanized unit, but that would also require more numbers just to support vehicle-based matchmaking sort of thing.
Not really a bombshell, but a pretty big announcement that Spartans would be opening up in the future. But one of the prerequisites that we had was to fill up Marine battalions. Not only that, but it said 4 Marine battalions. Now, obviously, we have 3 at the moment, being 79th, S4, and 17th. What is a Marine battalion that you would like to see in the future, being an old one like 21st or a new concept?
3 come to mind immediately. I would love to see the 13th. They're the Marine faction that you see in Halo Wars. John Forge, I believe he's an NCO there. The 3rd Battalion Reserves, they're really mentioned only in the Thelvadam Waypoint or something like that. They're a really cool faction. And the 15th Battalion, kind of like what Red Ball said, they're a mechanized battalion. So they would go well with tanks and vehicles and stuff like that I've been working on.
See, I haven't really thought too much about that because I've been in my own world trying to obviously improve with ODSTs, but that's besides the point. Here's the thing. I think obviously for a 4th battalion, what we could use is something beneficial, not more to just that battalion, but for everybody. Something that can strike people to get into that battalion as well. I would personally I don't really have a concept or idea right now, but obviously it would need to be something big, like something for the Marines to obviously work towards.
Hi. Hello, everybody. My name is Knight, and today we're joined by Springer in the studio. Say hi.
What's up?
All right, so Springer, I got a lot of questions to ask you today. Obviously, we haven't seen you on the UNN channel since the platoon system, like last year. That's like the only interview we've ever done with you. So first off, welcome back.
What's up, buddy?
So my first question for you today: how do you feel about 9th and 10th merging into the 105th? That was obviously a big change, but let's get your opinion on it.
So that was actually my idea to do it. I was talking with Engulfed one day, and I just randomly threw it out there. So in the past, the ODSTs have been, without a doubt, the best faction that the UOH has had. And I figured that instead of having it kind of be split between the two different factions, that if we just split or merge them both together, then we could, how do I explain it? What was it? We can target the majority of the higher comm and our resources onto the Marines that need help, you know? Because now instead of having fucking, for example, Bread and Engulfed focus on 2 different factions, it's just one. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's working so far. You guys obviously fucking ODSTs, you guys can correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I think it's doing a pretty good job. So we're we just want to be able to fucking focus on Marines.
Good from that.
Yeah.
So.
You know.
But my next question for you, and I'm sorry if I cut you off on accident there, but it kind of plays into the next question. How do you feel the server's doing as a whole? Obviously, we got a couple other opinions earlier. People think there's a lot of discourse between ODSTs and Marines again.
Yeah.
But how do you, as a higher up, feel that we're doing as a server?
So it's definitely not where I want it to be. We definitely have a lot of improvement that we need to make. As you guys saw with the ping for the Spartans, you know, we want the server to be in a lot better of a spot before we start adding new things. And we want to start adding new things because we think you guys all deserve it, you know? You guys are all putting the work in and we respect everybody for it. But we definitely not where we should be yet. You know, we definitely have a lot more to go. And there's a couple changes behind the scenes that are happening right now that aren't going to take place yet, but we're working on it. But we're gonna start trying a little bit more to get a little bit more of a push going. Obviously, recruitment just opened back up, I think like 2-3 weeks ago, around.
Yeah. So
we're trying to get the numbers back up because we had it paused for I think like 2 months or something like that, 3 months, maybe a little bit more than that. I don't remember off the top of my head, but we're trying to get the server into what we want it to be. You know, we want to get away from the Halo multiplayer side of the events. We want to start doing more actual milsim stuff. You know. Because I don't know about you and everybody else here, but I'm really bored of just go shoot each other for an hour. You know, I don't. Everybody I've talked to thinks the same way as me. You know what I mean? So.
All right. So my next question that I forgot to add into the other one, how do you feel like us as a server can improve?
Well, obviously numbers. We need a lot more numbers. We have a good amount of people at events. The events are pretty active right now, but we want to get the factions a little bit fuller before we start moving on. And honestly, just attitude. You know what I mean? Like, for example, at the event yesterday, I heard a whole bunch of things happen between ODSTs and Marines. And I'm hearing people are saying that they want to leave the server because pretty much they got their ass kicked in an event. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand why everybody has to have such an attitude about everything. You know, like, I get it. When things don't go your way, you get a little irritated, but like, why are we dramatizing everything to the point where, oh, I'm gonna leave the server. Fuck this shit. I don't want to be here. You know. I feel like everybody as a whole, we all need to come together and realize that we're a team. We need to build together, not just kind of, oh, they're not doing it right. They're not doing it right. That's what I hear all the time. You know. And people need to realize, like, we're not perfect. Nobody is perfect. We're human. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not Superman. Noble's not Superman, and Gold's not Superman. Like, we're gonna make mistakes every now and then. It's like we're all together we're trying to make UOH a thing for all of us. You know? Like, technically it's not my server. It's not Noble's server. It's not any of the HireCom server. It's your guys' server. Your guys' events. We make the stuff we do for you guys. I don't even participate in the events anymore. You know? So we're trying to make things better for all you guys, so you guys can have as much fun as possible. And when everybody just has such an attitude about everything, it kind of makes it really difficult for us to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. So my next question for you, recruitment events. We have one tonight. It's Wednesday. How do you feel the turnup's going to be tonight? You feel like we're going to have a good amount of people show up and a good amount of recruits, Cotton?
Well, I mean, I'm going to be out recruiting too. I'm going to see what I can do. Obviously, I'm not gonna be Mr. fucking expect the most from you guys. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna expect you guys to get 100 people, but you know, it's like we just all have to put our part in. You know what I mean? So what I always tell people is, say we have 15 people at an event, right? And all those 15 people are going to recruiting, and each one just recruits one person. That's 15 new people added to the server. That's more than we've been getting in the past few recruitments. You know what I mean? So if everybody just puts their one piece of help in, that's it. Just one little bit. Just recruit one person. That's all I can ask for. You know what I mean? I'm not going to ask you guys to go recruit 100 people, go fucking bend over backwards for the server. We're not going to expect that of you. We never will. You know? But it's just, everybody just needs to put their part in instead of just expecting us to do things. It's not like, we can't just flip our fingers and have it work. You know what I mean?
So in on the topic of recruitment events, do you have any advice for the people going to recruit? You know, the do's and don'ts, roles they should and shouldn't go to, that kind of stuff.
Kind of just don't expect people to join. You know what I mean? Like, people aren't getting on here. They don't want to have you come up to them and be like, oh, join my shit. Just talk to them. Be cool with them. You know what I mean? Whenever I recruit, for example, I'll see people chilling over here. If I see somebody, I'm like, yo, do you guys like Halo by chance? And if they do, then I'll start talking about it. And I'll be like, oh, by the way, I'm in a Halo server. And I explain to them what the UOH is, explain what we have, simple stuff. And they're like, oh, that's pretty cool. And they usually will ask me if they're able to join. That's usually how it works. If you kind of just like shove it down their throat, they're not gonna want to do it. You know, most people are getting on here after working all day, or going to school all day, and they're trying to like relax. If they got somebody like breathing down their neck, oh, join my server, they're not gonna want to. You know what I mean?
I agree. So my final question for you, might be the final question unless I think of something else. The Spartan ping, the Spartan ping that got put out today. One of the prerequisites for that was we have to have 4 full or active Marine battalions, and obviously at the moment we only have 3, being S4, 79th, and 17th. What is a Marine battalion, old or new, like 21st or something new, that you would like to see in the future?
So we have plans to open up a brand new faction. We've seen in the past, we just keep reopening old factions. It doesn't really work out, you know? Like, obviously, I would love to reopen 21st. You guys all know that was my baby. That was my faction. I think you joined right when I stopped leading 21st, if I'm correct. But
probably
I would
around
love this 21st, but I want to get something new for you guys, you know? I don't remember what the name was off the top of my head, but I can tell you what they were specializing in. It's CQC. So it's going to be like shotguns, SMGs, and stuff, like close quarters stuff, you know? So it's in the works. We have some people thought out for it, but we gotta get the numbers up before we can even do anything with that. So
awesome. Well, it's good to hear that there's a plan in the works and a concept as well. A CQC Marine Battalion does sound pretty cool. But that's kind of all that I have for you today. Is there anything you'd like to say, opinion or whatever, to the camera before we wrap up?
Honestly, just we all gotta put our foot in. You know what I mean? If we're all not putting our part in, and we're all just expecting things to be done, then that's not fair to yourselves. You're selling yourself short. Everybody's able to do something, you know? If nobody's doing anything, then, and you're just kind of like waiting for us to do it, like that's kind of like, that's not fair to yourselves and to us. You know what I mean? Like, I want to get the server to where it should be. You know, you guys know, I was gone for what, a year? I think, around a year. And I came back I was very disappointed in what I seen. You know, like I stayed in the server for as long as I did because I wanted the server to be the best as it possibly could. And then I had to end up coming back around a year later because even it was to the point where like Sleepy had to host pretty much every event, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not like I'm not trying to talk shit about Sleepy, but like she doesn't do that. Like that's not her job to host events, you know? And like I don't wanna have the server be down like that again. And I'm trying my best to help it. You know, obviously I haven't been as active as I would like to be because I have a lot of stuff going on in real life. But I'm trying to push through it. You know what I mean? So that's all I can ask. Just for everybody to just put their part in. I'm not asking everybody to be high com. I'm not asking everybody to go bend over backwards for the server. Just try a little bit. Try and maybe get the attitude fixed. To get the numbers up. Help out. Literally just one person at recruitment events. That's all I ask. That's it. Not 2, not 3, not 4. You just recruit one person per person. Say we have 6 people here. If all 6 of these people were to recruit one person at the recruitment event tonight, that's 6 new recruits. 6 people that we can mold and just kind of build up into being strong high com. You know what I mean? Like we have a lot of people who just right now like they kind of just don't want to be high com, and like I understand that. It's a pain in the ass to do it. I don't want to be high com either. I'm not running a faction. I haven't done that in like 2.5, 3 years. You know? Like, I get it. But just on a lower level, just putting your part in to just get more numbers up so we can get more things for you guys. You know what I mean? That's all I ask for. That's all everybody else in higher com asks for, you know? Like I thought I saw somebody else. I was like, what the fuck? But yeah, that's all we ask for, you know what I mean? Everybody does their part, the server can be a lot better.
Hello, everybody. My name is Zion. and today I'm joined in studio by Hero. This time, 105th version. So, Hero, I got a couple questions for you today. Starting off, the ODST merge, 9th and 10th are now 105th. How do you feel about that?
I'm super happy about it. Obviously with the shutting down of 9th Battalion, it was pretty sucky. So, womp womp to all the homies. But honestly, I'm kind of excited for the merge. I was already in 10th by the time it happened. So I got to keep my cool custom. I got to get put in a fire team with a lot of the people I respect and would love to be a part with. So I'm kind of in a really chilling spot. It's a little biased on my end because I'm in a really good position compared to some other people. But I think the merge was great. On top of that, we're able to help out the people who are struggling with combat a lot more. Shout out to my boy Banana. Love that goat. But I love being able to just give that lending hand while at the same time further improving upon myself to just be the best ODST I can.
Awesome. So my next question in relation to the merge, how do you think the 9th guys are doing? You guys getting along well with them?
For the most part, yeah. Sometimes there's a little bit of butting head in combat and sometimes with comms, but that's, I want to say, like any faction. That could happen between anyone, anywhere, every way. Shit, that even happened in 10th before 9th merged. So there's always just a little bit of here and there, but it's honestly really chill. All the homies that came from 9th, they've been doing pretty good. They're really trying their best to improve. I see the determination and I see the want to do more. So it's just to finally acknowledge that people are doing better rather than just saying they're trying. Now they're actually in a position to improve themselves with the people who are willing to help them improve.
All right, so my next question for you, how do you feel we're doing as a server? Do you think we're doing good? Do you think we could be doing better? And if so, what's something you think that we can improve on as a server?
All right. This is where I want to say the dark
Grab your
turn
snacks.
comes in.
This is going to take a while.
So I get the idea of all inclusivity, but I'm not going to lie. It's not a server problem. People just aren't doing their fucking jobs. And I'm talking about the people who go to flight worlds during recruitments and just fly Falcons and Hornets. I'm talking about people who don't even show up to the recruitment events. I'm talking to the people who want to try experimental game modes in the middle of main events. So unfortunately, the ODSTs are doing all they can to keep this server up. Meanwhile, the other half of the server, not so much. It's getting to the point where now we're even doing their attendance for them. I'm not going to name drop, but I think they know who I'm talking about. And now, I don't want to say they're not doing anything. However, the work that is being put in is minuscule. There's more members in ODSTs than I think in the other half of that server if you count them all together. And that is terrible numbers. Now, I would say this stems from the lack of trying to recruit and the lack of actually showing up to recruit. Because I don't know if you've seen the attendance or even just pre-lobby and the show out for the last 3 weeks of recruitment events, the last 3 days we've been recruitment events, there has been constant complaints from higher com, high com, and ODST high com. So even some of those complaints are coming from that side of the server. Now, a lot, and I mean a lot of this undone work, I think, I think a lot of this undone work is unfairly falling onto my leadership. And I don't like that, because then bro comes in all mad as shit. And no one wants a pissed off commandant of the ODSTs, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like one part of this server, Marines, needs to improve significantly more than the entire server. Now, I don't say this because I have anything against them. It has literally just been shown week by week by week. And everyone keeps dancing around the fact rather than just addressing the issue straight on its head. And I feel like if we just keep dancing around that fact, just saying it's the entire server's fault and not putting any real repercussion on the problem, nothing is going to get done about it. And honestly, since no one else is speaking about it, I feel like that inner reporter in me says, yo, something needs to be said before everything just tanks straight down, and then this just becomes an ODST. If we keep on this track, we won't have Marines. Then we won't have people to recruit into the second half of the server. And then once that's gone, the ODSTs will all start leaving. And then the entire server will be fucking dead. And then UOH will disband as a whole. So the further we continue down this path of not holding people accountable for the jobs and necessities of what the server needs and how you're supposed to perform, no one's going to perform to that standard. No one's going to try to perform at the standard. And now we're falling into the point where people don't even want to show up. The laziness, the lack of not trying, the lack of not even showing up, it's getting bad. And they need to be called out on it. Now, I'm not going to say it's all dandelions and fun shit on the ODST side either. But what I'm not going to say is we're doing our, nothing about it. We're doing our damn best with constant trainings. I don't know. Well, you are a part of the ODST, so we have been given more trainings as the time progresses. Meanwhile, when we go to help out with other trainings, they seem to be on the same schedule with the same less than proficient type of acclimation to the combat environment. They're not improving while we're improving. So now it just feels like we're shit stomping. And yesterday's event even proved it, that when we were put on one side with 2 of them, and then they were put on the other side with 2 of our guys, it was a landslide victory throughout the entire event. And I don't want events like that. No one should feel like, hey, I'm shit, I pulled up to an event just to lose every single round. That's fucking terrible. No one wants to feel like that. So I think there needs to be an improvement in not just trainings, but there needs to be an improvement in innovation. There needs to be an improvement in intellect. There needs to be an improvement in opportunity. They need to have more chances to shine. They need to have more shots at getting better, and they need people to nurture that kind of environment. Now, I'm not saying their HICOM isn't doing nothing. I'm just saying they aren't performing near enough to help the soldiers under them improve in even the lightest way to gain moderacy in combat or in anything else. And this, again, has been proven week by week by week, and I don't want that for those people. I want them to be able to be like, oh man, I can't wait to turn up to today's event and kick some fucking ass. Not, damn, I gotta show up to an event to yap at some random during a recruitment, or damn, I gotta pull up to an event just to hate my life for an hour and then leave to go do the things I actually want. That livelihood of UOH has died ages ago, and I see it with the constant complaining at events, the constant butting heads with event hosts, co-hosts, and higher comm. It is just absolutely terrible. So I feel like if we start putting more emphasis on responsibility and challenge the weakest that is there, it'll either get stronger and improve, or it'll dissipate and relinquish.
All right. There was a lot to unpack there, and honestly, a lot of questions I have that I have no idea how to formulate. So, my question for you, which you probably answered in some way there, how do you feel, at least the Marine side, can improve? What can they do to better themselves?
Running through realistic trainings, focusing less on experimental game modes, focusing less on vehicles, improving aim, improving situational awareness, improving communication, improving target identification. They can also improve on map control, point control, objective identification, and survivability.
All right, all right. So my next question for you that I have written down here, scripted at least, recruitment events. Obviously, you talked about them a bit in your spiel there. We have one tonight. You and I are DIing with alongside maybe Midget or Code or Logan. How do you feel our turn up tonight is going to be in both recruits and, UOH members?
If it's going to be the same as last week, I'm expecting maybe 5 or 7 people because, like I had mentioned previously, not a lot of people are recruiting. They're either fucking off in a game world saying that's how they recruit, or they're just hanging out in the DI instance, which is completely unacceptable.
All right. So how many recruits do you think we're going to get, unless the 5 to 7 was your guess?
That was my answer.
Okay. So how many UOH members do you think are going to turn up today?
That is a rough question.
Above
Are we
or
going
below
by
11?
trends, or are we going by the hopeful count?
Give us both.
By trend, we're probably going to get maybe 12 or 15. Highest, I'd say 17. Hopeful, we get a good 25 people, with the people, I want to say maybe 20 recruiting, 5 in the DI instance, because me, you, Springer, and I want to say maybe 2 other higher comm would be in that world, just helping people out. The NIGs and the fags also there. So hopefully 20 people recruiting to maximize efficiency. But realistically, probably, like I said, 15 to 17. Lowest I see 11 to 14.
All right. Well, my next question for you is something that we actually learned of today. Spartan program is set to reopen, obviously, in the distant future. And one of the prerequisites is that we have to have 4 active or full Marine battalions. And obviously, at the moment, we have 3 being S4, 21st, 17th, and 79th. What is a Marine battalion, old, like 21st, 12th, or 77th, or new, that you would like to see in the future?
Personally, for those who know, 13th, Tony's old faction, would love to see them desert motherfuckers come back. They had really cool armor designs. They were really fun to work with when it was there. Obviously, it's not going to be the same people, so, it's more or less the same. Although, to be honest, I don't have much recollection of that faction, simply due to the time of me not being either really active in the server or not in it at all around that time. But I do remember seeing them for I think a week, either when I came back or before I left. I'm going to be honest, I don't have too much recollection of that. But I do remember, when I got to work with Tony, that was really fun. So hopefully if Bro comes back as a lead, that would be sick. But to comment on the requirements for the Spartan program, I feel like they're a little low, specifically with the at least 2 full fire teams. Because if you think about it, once we hit that mark, if some of those people leave those fire teams to go for this new program, the Spartan 3 program, we'll essentially be putting ourselves back in that same spot. So I thought maybe 3 fire teams would have left us at least comfortable enough to do so. But I still see the incentive behind it. I like the idea. I just think the caps should have been increased a little bit. Obviously, for ODSTs, it was pretty realistic. 15 members, that was nice. But that's mainly due to the merge rather than separate fire teams. So it seems a lot lower than it really is. But I think we can do it. I pray the other half can get their requirements done. But it seems cool. Although I'm really not too much into it. I like my position as an ODST. I'm really comfortable where I am. Hoping to shoot for better and greater things, but I like to be comfortable every now and then. So I would say it's pretty cool, but not too interesting for me. Maybe that'll change.
So,
I don't know.
I don't got any more questions for you today. Do you have anything you want to say to the camera before we wrap up?
I know I'm going to have to face the wrath of the server soon, so bless my asshole with lube.
Now, this is a bit more of a serious topic, in relation to the UOH, but, Logan, let's talk about professionalism, shall we?
I think so, yeah.
It seems to be a rising issue with a couple of people in the server, and I personally believe it needs to be addressed. Now, obviously, there's no interview for at least this segment, but the next segment there will be. This is a Milsim server, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not saying to act like you're a part of the U.S. Marines or anything like that, but let's keep it a little bit professional, especially if you're in a leadership position. Enforce the rules, but make sure you're doing it in a correct way. Anything you'd like to add on that, Logan?
No, I agree with it a bunch, actually. I definitely think that there are times things are handled not properly or unprofessionally, and it gives not just a bad name to your faction, but it gives a bad name to the server as a whole. You want people to feel invited and welcomed here. Yes, we'll have a strict system. Of course, we are a Milsim, but handling it appropriately and more respectfully is always better, especially with the touch of professionalism. I get it is not a job because, of course, guys, we're not here for a job. At the end of the day, it's for fun. But you still have to be professional in how you act and speak because it is the respectful and appropriate thing to do to those around you. That's just my standing point on it. That's how I personally believe, and that's how I think things should be viewed. But it is not, at the end of the day, things are up to the people above us, higher comm. So I hope to see that they either enforce the more professionalism and more respectful tone towards people. But at the end of the day, we won't know. We'll see down the line. But that's my view on these things.
With that being said, thank you guys once again for tuning in to your kind of monthly broadcast. Logan, do you have any final words you wish to say?
No, not really. It's been a lot of fun. I miss being in the seat in the studio. I know I've been pretty busy, but glad I finally had a little bit of time off to do that. So, it's been a good time.
All right. That being said, we'll see you all in the next broadcast.
Bye-bye.